Other things that they've added in, well, you might have noticed one earlier on when we were looking at the 3D stuff. Let's go to my H.264 encoding, and there's a new one at the top, F4V. F4V is flash encoding. This is a variation of flash, which is basically an H.264 flash file, so a high-def flash file. It's how all our tutorials are made and that sort of thing. But basically, it's a high-def flash file. You couldn't do flash before, now you can. F4V, choose your settings, bang, off it goes and encodes. Another new enhancement is the loudness meter. Now this is something that's going to particularly appeal to broadcasters. Basically, rather than supplying tape, people are giving files to broadcasters these days to actually broadcast. Nothing wrong with that. The only problem is there's all sorts of different ways of doing it. And one of the things that's been a problem is sound. People have been doing the sound at the wrong level. So there's a series of standards, and you've got to make sure that the entire timeline matches these standards. What the loudness meter does is you choose one of several pre-designed standards. You can, of course, make your own up if you want to. But you choose a standard, you choose a bit of the timeline, you set it going, and then off it goes, and looks at the audio, and then it warns you of any problems you've got with the loudness. Because what will happen is if you send the file off to be broadcast and it is a bit too loud in some point, they'll just put the file through an analyzer, it'll say, oh, it goes wrong at some point, they'll throw it back to you and say, make a new one. This will go through and warn you of any problems so you can fix them before you send them off. Another new feature for the preview version, which we assume is going to be in the final one, is this. It'll actually load red footage. If you're filming using a red camera and you want to use EDIUS, it'll now load red footage natively. It doesn't actually have to convert it, which we had to do with EDIUS 6, which is a nice step forward. At the point where we're making this, they've just made the public announcement about EDIUS 6.5 being shipped in June, so there are some features which are currently not in the preview version. For example, it says there's a native image stabilizer. You can make QuickTime files with the EDIUS codec, so that you'll be able to send a QuickTime file to a Mac user and they'll be able to use it. And there'll be other changes as well. When 6.5 comes out, we're going to do an addendum to our tutorial, just about how you use some of the new features.